on the road to Macstock with Kirschen Seah. This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by Kolide. Kolide ensures only secure devices can access your cloud apps. It's zero trust, tailor-made for Okta. Book a demo today at kolide.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're still on the road to Macstock. We still have folks we want to talk to, presenters we want to talk to, and find out what they're presenting and why. We are all headed to Woodstock, Illinois at the end of July. We want you there with us too as well. So after the show, not during the show, but after the show, visit macstockconferenceandexpo.com to hear from, or see, I should say, all of the presenters and what they'll be talking about, get all the information on lodging and locations and everything, and then join us because we're going to have fun. It's always one of my favorite weekends every year to see new friends and old friends and friends I haven't met yet. This time, though, I get to connect with, well, old is a dangerous word. So let's just say a friend I've known for a while, Kirschen Seah, who is going to be speaking again at Macstock this year. Kirschen, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks, Chuck. It's been a while, and I'm glad to have my presentation accepted for this year's Macstock 7 in 2023, and great. I'll be getting to see everybody again this year. It's been a while.
It's, even though there have been some interim Macstocks, one was a greatly produced one, one was virtual. It just feels like it's been forever since we've had everyone together, and I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's a great time to get together like-minded Apple aficionados and just talk about all things Apple and see how we can leverage all these very clever devices that we've equipped ourselves with to make our lives better.
So the theme of this year's Macstock is learn. And I think it's a great topic, but I'm anxious to hear what are we going to learn from you?
Well, I've learned a lot in the many years that I've been using iOS devices and so on. I thought would like to share what I've learned. And my topic this year is getting started with shortcuts. As we know, shortcuts is an application that Apple's rolled out initially on iOS devices and then iPad. And now it's available on macOS as well. And I've been using shortcuts ever since it came out many, many years ago under a different name. It was called Workflow. And I checked dates back in 2015. And it's a really neat application, but why do we want to use shortcuts? One of the things that I always remember is repeating the same sequence of actions over and over again might be the first sign that you need to go automate it. For example, if you open the same set of applications on your iPhone every time you, for example, start a workout or wake up in the morning, you want to run certain applications on your iPhone. It takes a few seconds, I know, to launch all those applications, especially on different pages. But if you could have an ability to press one button and launch all the same apps every day, if you spend a few minutes crafting a shortcut that will start all these applications up, and that will save you time in the long run. So spend a little bit of time now, save time in the long run is what my maxim is. So what shortcuts gives you is the ability to have a sequence of actions that you can have on your iOS device, iPad OS, or even Mac OS that automates simple things like launching. For example, in the morning, you when you get up, you like to see the weather, check out the news reports, and maybe launch a couple of fitness applications. You can set that up in shortcuts by having a sequence of a few actions. Say, open this app, open weather for here, and so on. And all these things Apple has provided for us in the shortcuts application. And so what I'm going to be looking at is how you would use shortcuts in iOS, iPad OS. Unfortunately, my Mac is a little old. It's about time to get an upgrade. But I'll mention that you can run shortcuts also in Mac OS. Um, we'll look at what shortcuts are. They're a sequence of actions. What can you do with actions? You can look at text, process text, uh, do some computations. I've got a really simple one which I found extremely useful. Um, when I go to the supermarket, for example, and you've got a choice of a 3-pack, a 6-pack, or a 9-pack of sponges, what's the best price for them? So I have one which you enter the price and quantity, and it tells you, okay, buy the 6-pack because it's cheaper than all of those per unit price. So it's a simple thing you could write. It does a simple task. And I forgot to mention Watch OS. Watch OS on your Apple Watch can also run shortcuts, but a certain limited set of shortcuts. Um, so it'll do computations. You can make it do alerts. You can input data, and you can make decisions with your input. If this value is greater than the other certain value, output that. One of the things I have as a simple, interesting shortcut was I'm counting the days to when I finally retire. I'm semi-retired now. So I have a shortcut that when you press a button, it returns, okay, yeah, you have X days more to before you finally retire. So you enter a the little shortcut has a date on it, and it just calculates days between the 2 days. So it's pretty straightforward thing. I thought it was a cool thing to have. And then not only can you script shortcuts, uh, actions within shortcuts itself, but some applications can also provide actions. For example, a third-party application like Fantastical, Draft, even OmniFocus, um, you can have the shortcut trigger actions like do a new to do within OmniFocus, create a draft, uh, text draft within draft, and so on. So shortcuts can be expanded by adding all these third party applications, and we'll look at them in great detail. Other things you can do with shortcuts besides pressing a button on a widget panel, which shortcuts provide. Triggers. You can have shortcuts run at certain times of day. You can have shortcuts tell you when your battery is below 50% or below 20% and turn on a HomeKit switch to charge your phone. I I one that does that. That's pretty cool. But we'll take a look at that in detail how to do that. I mentioned this. You can also integrate HomeKit devices within shortcuts. You can have an action that turns on a lamp, turns on a set of lamps depending on time of day, and you can do automations either within the Home app or within shortcuts. And as part of this uh, session that I'm doing at Macstock, we'll take a look at some simple examples of shortcuts that everyday users could take to get get you all started in thinking, hey, I can do these simple things which make my life easier every morning, for example. And then the fun part is to do a live demo. We know how live demos go. You plan for the best, so we'll do a live demo on an iPad hooked up to a display, so that will go well. We'll briefly touch on advanced topics because there's so many things you can do to expand it. Um, for apps that don't provide actions, there's certain methods of invoking that, and then we'll take a look at what else you can do besides just getting started. There's so many avenues to explore with respect to shortcuts. Um, and then there's some idiosyncrasies within shortcuts. So sometimes people might get stuck in a rut but then actually it's a known problem with that particular action. I'll provide some tips and some helpful resources. There are podcasts out there. I know that David Stark's MacVoices got a really good podcast on applications and scripting and so on. So that's something there. And then there are books out there that you can get. So we'll we'll point attendees to all these great resources out there to help people develop shortcuts. So in a nutshell, that's an overview of what I'll be talking about in the Getting Started with Shortcuts session.
Kirshen, I have so many people when the subject of shortcuts comes up, they say, gee, that sounds like programming, and I'm not a programmer, and so I could never possibly do this. And shortcuts really isn't that.
It's stringing a sequence of actions together, and the whole idea is to dip one toes in there and say, oh, I can do a shortcut. It's dragging these boxes, linking them together, and it's visual. It's visual. I'm going to use the word here, programming, but programming is more or less setting up a sequence of actions. And then maybe you put some decisions in there, if this value is greater than that, do this, do that. And it's how to introduce programming, coding in a very simple yet effective and useful way that would help people do more things with their iPhone. Demystifying all this. Oh, it's programming, therefore it must be hard. No, not really. We will look at that and try to demystify this. Definitely.
MacVoices is supported by Kolide at kolide.com/MacVoices. Clicking on the wrong link can cause you plenty of headaches if it's just you. But if it's your company, the possibility of clicking a wrong link is multiplied by the number of users, right along with the headaches. Your users don't mean to create a problem, but they have other things on their priority list. That's why Kolide works so well for Okta users. You can get your entire fleet to 100% compliance. If a device isn't compliant and tries to log in, it can't. The user is provided with the information on what needs to be done. If they do it, great. If not, they're blocked. Immediate, helpful device compliance that secures your company. Without Kolide, there's nothing to stop an unsecure device. With Kolide, unsecure devices don't have a chance to cause issues. And this is all built to work seamlessly with Okta. Zero trust architecture and 100% device compliance. That means fewer support tickets and less frustration all around. Just what the doctor ordered. Visit kolide.com /MacVoices to learn more or book a demo. That's Kolide, KOLIDE.com /MacVoices. Kolide.com /MacVoices. Thanks to Kolide for supporting MacVoices. Again, I'm with you. I think that shortcuts I guess if you want to get technical, they are programming, but I tend to think of them more as like a recipe that, if I just follow I write the recipe down, and then if I could magically execute a recipe, the cake would pop out of the oven. That's not going to happen in the real world, but on your iPhone, on your Mac, on your iPad, that's exactly what happens. Once you've created that recipe for the cake you want, then you just hit the button and out it pops.
Yeah, indeed. A program is that is a perfect analogy. A program and programming is essentially creating a recipe to do something, and that's such a great analogy. If you can cook noodles, pasta by following steps on the back of a packet, you can craft the shortcut because it's just writing out steps in sequence, and that's it. And I'll definitely try and demystify how to leverage this amazing time saver. This is my key thing: time saver that's built into all our devices and computers.
I loved your example of the calculator that can tell you which item to buy because it's the cheapest.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's a perfect example of the kind of thing that I could take a calculator or two or three with me to the store and punch the numbers in. It's pretty obvious how to do it, but nobody does it. But if you do it once, like you said, and then you can just feed the information in and it gives you the answer, that's incredibly useful. It's in your case, it's not only a time saver, it's a money saver.
Indeed. Yeah, I use it frequently. I have a watch face with that shortcut as a complication. So when I tap on that one, it runs that shortcut automatically. So these are things you can incorporate. You can write it. You can create a shortcut and then have that. And Apple's done this with the new iOS, at least with 16. You can create little palettes of shortcut buttons that trigger things to happen. So it's putting together a sequence of steps and pressing a button, and all those sequence of steps automatically execute. And that's pretty powerful and useful for to get better use of all these devices that we have.
And again, something you said earlier, it's just not that hard. It if you just do one and then you've done one. And so now your fear should be gone or at least greatly reduced. You do two or three more, and pretty soon you'll be
Mm-hmm.
automating or shortcutting everything.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And there's so many resources, and I think pointing folks at the session to all these different resources out there. If they want to learn more, they need to get help. Here are all the different resources that are out there: websites, podcasts, books, ebooks, and everything that's out there that people can go and look for help. Indeed.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know if you agree with this, but sometimes I feel like the toughest part of the shortcuts discussion is recognizing those things we do on a repetitious basis, because they become so ingrained in our daily routine. Like you said, you wake up, you launch three or four apps, you check the weather, you might check the news, and you don't even think about the fact that that's what you do every single morning. And if once you recognize it, then
Mm-hmm.
you can start to identify it as something that could be applied with a shortcut.
Yeah, just plant the seed of, these are things which we do frequently. Maybe there's a way to automate that, and we use it so frequently. It's easy to spend a little bit of time up front and showing what you can do with shortcuts, especially even something as simple as launching 5 or 6 apps that you do every morning. I need to launch an app which talks to my smart scale to get weight and everything. So, or one that turns on lights and turns off all the devices after they've been charged. Simple little things which, but showing what the capabilities are and what triggers and so on would be amazing. One of the use cases I had at shortcuts, and this was an interesting one, was I get work calendar invites, but I like to see them on my iOS device. But the thing is, it's a Windows PC, and I don't want I'll have to install and get device management on my phone, and I don't want to do that. So on my work computer, I can actually copy text for the invite, date and time and everything, and then have it put up a QR code of all that text, and then I take that QR code, use the camera on the phone, and it converts all that to text on the phone. Now I could scan text, but QR code, you get the text a lot better than that scan text capability. I used to scan the text. Now I use the QR code. And then Fantastical has the ability to take text and cleverly convert it into an appointment. So I point my camera at the QR code, and out pops the Fantastical event in my calendar, um, automatically set in my work calendar as well. So all I need to do is copy some text of an appointment on the PC, and in the browser on that PC, I run a QR code, a widget, and it shows me a QR code of all that text that I've captured. So it's an indirect way of getting appointments from a computer that you just can't copy text from, to something that you need to have the same calendar item in. So And all that capability is built into shortcuts, and we'll talk about that in the session as well. How we can capture information from external sources.
I know you're gonna convert some people to shortcuts because every time anyone talks about shortcuts, sooner or later you get through to them and they recognize something that this could really help them with, and they do. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
great.
definitely.
Kirshen, it's been a while since we've seen each other. It's definitely been a while since you've been to Macstock. What have you been up to?
Well, in the last few years, I've been working remotely. Still in working in the aerospace company that I've been with for 24 years, and it's been a blast. I been leveraging my tools such as Citrix to connect to my work computer, and I've been using my Mac exclusively with a big screen to connect to the work computer. So been busy working. I got semi-retired in the middle of last year, so I'm working part-time now, 3 days a week. It's helpful. It keeps me sharp. I contribute to the thing, so I'm working because I want to versus I have to. So that's kind of relaxing. The rest of the time, I'm out in the garden, exercising in the bike downstairs, riding outside. So I got a bit more time to grow vegetables, for example. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I got the
well,
little plant out front. Yeah. Been
I
keeping
didn't
busy.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that growing vegetables was one of your things, but hey, whatever works.
Yeah, I know. I know. You don't have to go out to the shop and get fresh cherry tomatoes. So we're in the process of waiting for the tomatoes to form up outside. But yeah, we've been keeping busy both. And I took my first flight this year out of the country after many years to England to visit Sarah's mom. So that was fun. The experience was actually quite good.
Ah,
Yeah, immigration was very fast in the UK. They have gates. You just run through a e-gate, take the picture, and in less than 5 minutes, you're through immigration. Of course, the queue to get there was another thing, especially with many flights landing at the same time. But it was a good experience, definitely. Yeah,
wow, that's great. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you. We're both looking forward to seeing all of our friends and folks. We
indeed.
we want to see you too. So one more time, macstockconferenceandexpo.com. Find out what all the details are. Find out who's going to be speaking and what other topics. Kirshen's going to do shortcuts, but you've heard some of the other folks talk about what they're going to do on the road to Macstock, and we're just going to have a ball. We want you with us, so please come on out. Kirshen, I will
Hmm.
see you in just a few weeks.
Thank you very much. Definitely waiting to see everybody else again. Take care.
You too. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We'll have more on the road to Macstock and more not on the road to Macstock. As always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.